Hey everybody, it's Karen with Food and Family. I'm getting ready to start dinner and I want you to join me. I'm going to make what my family calls porcupines. This is from, and I showed you this book a while back, from my husband's side of the family, from a family reunion. Everybody pitched in a recipe, they bounded it. You see how this one's bound. It's a manila folder and yard, and it is precious to me. And it's dated May 18th, 1975. So I'm going to make the porcupines out of this book, and I will give you the original recipe, although I'm going to make a few changes. This recipe calls for tomato juice or tomato soup. I don't want to use tomato products because I want to make a brown gravy, so I'm not going to use either one of those. So I want to get started. I have already cut up some potatoes, put them on to boil. I'm going to make mashed potatoes. What goes better with brown gravy than mashed potatoes? And I have some peas and carrots on the stove. I had a bag of frozen peas and carrots. I put them in the pot, covered them with a little bit of water, added some butter and a little salt. Pop Jones loves peas and carrots with mashed potatoes. He makes a little well in the potatoes and he'll put his peas and carrots there, especially the peas. I put the gravy there. Anyway, so let's get started. I have a pound of ground chuck here. Now, they tell me to add 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. I'm using seasoned breadcrumbs today. And I've got 1 egg that I'm going to put in here. And y'all know I keep a little bag off to the side, so all I have to do is just pick everything up and throw it away when I'm done. I peeled my potatoes. It went right in there. Egg goes right in there. Okay, so I want 1/2 of an onion chopped. So let me sit that right there while I do that. 1/2 of an onion chopped. I don't want to chop it too fine, but I don't want huge dices of onion. I want like a small to medium dice. And I had someone ask me, and she's really sweet to ask questions, and because she's learning to cook, what's the difference between a dice and a chop? Chop is larger. A dice is sort of a medium to small, and a mince is very small and fine. So there's your differences right there. When I say chop, I want to do a larger. If I say dice, it's smaller. But I'm just going to run my knife back through a little bit. Now I'm going to put these in here and just see if I might want a little more onion than that 1/2. And I think that 1/2 is going to be perfect. Okay, so I need some salt. And they tell me like 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Let me find my teaspoon measure. 3/4 teaspoon of salt. That looks about right. And 1/2 of a teaspoon of paprika, which you know I like using paprika. 1/2 teaspoon. And I know the recipe doesn't call for it, but I think I want to add a little bit of garlic powder to it. I just love garlic. I think I want to add a teaspoon. That's a half. I just think it'll help it. I love garlic anyway. Pop and I both do. And 1/2 cup of uncooked rice. Now, this recipe calls for some chopped green pepper. I don't have any. I've used all that I have. So we're going to leave it out. But I think it'll be fine. And 1/2 cup of uncooked rice. I just have the long grain white rice. That's what makes it a porcupine. And as this cooks, the rice will cook and it'll swell up just a little bit. Yeah, know the best tool is your hands. And God gave us these hands to use, and we need to use them. So, and what better way to mix up this meat than with our hands? You just cannot get in there and mix it well with a spoon. So we're just gonna go for it. Okay, so let me get this mixed up, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do next to get them in the pan, okay? So I got it smoothed around a little bit, so hopefully you can see down in this skillet really good. Okay, so I got our meat all mixed up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, let's say, a little bigger than a golf ball, and I'm gonna roll it up, but I'm not gonna make meatballs. I'm gonna flatten them. And I'm gonna make little discs. That's what they tell me to do. So that's what I'm gonna do. You see that? So we're gonna put them in this pan, and I'm gonna get these all mixed up. Now I haven't turned my pan on yet because it's gonna take me, not long, but just a few minutes to get this all patted out, and then I'll start my pan, and that way they can all cook at the same time. So I'm gonna get these in here. I'm not gonna worry about separating them too much, because you know how ground meat does, it will shrink a little bit. So, and then when they're done, we're gonna make a gravy. So y'all stay with me. I'll be back in a minute, and we'll get these going, okay? I'm on the last one. Y'all, this pound of ground chuck has made 12 of these porcupines. Trying to get my glove off so I don't touch anything. Turn it inside out, grab the other one. You've got them all tucked in each other. My husband taught me that from being in the emergency field, because he was a volunteer in our fire department. Okay, so I'm going to turn these on, and we're going to get these cooked rather slowly. Well, not too slow. I want them to brown, but at this point, I'm not completely worried about them getting done, because I'm going to make a gravy, and I'm going to let them simmer in this gravy. But you know what? It's sitting here by me, guys. I'm going to put a little butter down in this pan. It's only going to make it better, right? All right, so let's get these cooked up. I want to get a plate, because when I take them out, I want to take them out of this pan when I get them good and browned. And we're going to put them on this plate, and then we're going to make our gravy. So let's get them started. Wow, these smell amazing. Can you see that? You know, and they really didn't put off a lot of oil. Just enough, I think, that, wow, to make it the gravy. That's all I need. Can you see the rice in these? Can you see that down in there? Now, as this cooks, continues to cook, because I'm going to saute it in the gravy. I'm going to put them back in the gravy and let them simmer. And that rice will continue to cook. So let's set these there, and y'all can look at them for me. Can you see them there? And look at the oil in there. There's not a whole lot, and there's some onions down in there. A little bit of rice that seeped out. So I'm done with this. Let's move it, and let's start making our gravy. I'm gonna put, let's try a couple of tablespoons of flour. That was loud. Sorry. And you know, it's hard to give exact measurements on gravy. It's really an eyeball thing, but you start with equal parts oil or fat, whichever you use, and flour. Sometimes I use butter, sometimes I use oil. I'm going to put just a little bit more flour because you want it pasty when you make your gravy. When you mix your oil and flour, you want it pasty. So let's let that sit there and cook a minute. With the butter, and we put the paprika in there, it kind of changed that color just a little bit. Y'all know when I make gravy, even though I'm doing flour, I love to add my brown gravy mix. And this is a new bottle. I love it. So I'm going to put probably the same amount, 3 tablespoons of that. Now, the best part, and I should have already put this in there and I didn't, so y'all forgive me, is this Better Than Bouillon. It's the roasted beef base, and I'm going to put about a teaspoon of that. My fingers are clean. My hands are very clean, y'all. That is something that I do not allow in my kitchen, is dirty hands. And I've got to wash that off. So y'all, excuse me a moment. Okay. So let's get that stirred around. And that can stir in with that brown gravy mix. You just want to heat it up and kind of wake it up a little bit. Because, you know, it sits in that jar and in this container. And we need to wake it up. It's been sleeping too long, right? Get it off of my whisk there. And it's going to be dry in the pan. It's going to look dry. You just keep stirring it. Because we are about to do something else. We've got beef broth. I've got to make my beef broth, y'all. I haven't made any yet. And I want some homemade beef broth. Okay, y'all know I put balsamic vinegar in too, just a couple of drops, because it does not take much. I don't even put a full teaspoon, a quarter to a half a teaspoon, and it's enough. And just to give you that rich, I don't know why, what it is. It just richens that gravy to me. And you know, if you hold it upside down like I'm pouring, it will pour smoother. And just keep stirring and it will all mix in. All right, so I'm going to get this gravy finished. Now I'm just going to keep adding broth, and I may use this whole container or close to it. There is like 4 cups of broth in here. I know I'll use at least 3, if not all 4. But we're going to slip that meat back in there and let it simmer. I've got my gravy. I think I've got it where I want it. So you see the consistency. Can you tell? I don't know, so much steam coming off. I don't know if you can tell. It's not real thick, so it's coating my spoon, but it's kind of slowly slipping off. It's not real thick, but it's not thin. I don't want a thin gravy, and I don't want it real thick either. Taste to see if I need to add anything else, and I do not. That is perfect. So I'm going to turn this down just a little bit, and we're going to slide this meat back in here. Slowly add it in. I think it's cooled. Yeah, it's cooled enough where I can handle it. And we're going to get a lid on it. And I'm going to let this simmer, I don't know, I'll probably let this simmer 18, 20 minutes or longer until Pop gets home. And I'll have it turned down, and I've got some broth left. I told you I only used 3 cups, but I've got a little bit left if I need it. And in fact, I think I'm going to just pour a little bit around, and it'll mix in as it cooks. And turn it down just a tad more. I don't want it boiling away. I just want a slow simmer, and I'll come back in a few minutes and flip them over. But we'll be back when we're ready to pull this meal together. Our porcupines are done. Y'all, if you could just smell this cooking. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna set that lid back there. Can you see down in that pan? See that rich brown gravy? I've got to have a little try. Pop will be home after a while, and he's sneaking in the door now. He's sneaking in the door now. I thought he'd be a little bit later. You got off early. Can y'all hear her? Okay. She meets him. She just loves it. But I'm going to try this, and I'll feed him in a few minutes. Come and look at the porcupines I made for us.
Porcupines?
Porcupines. Now, doesn't that look good?
That does look good.
Smell that gravy? And I made you some.
It when I came in the garage.
I made you some peas and carrots. I told him how you like to make a well in your potatoes.
Oh yeah.
And put them in there. So
sounds good to me.
I'm gonna give this a try.
Sounds great.
You want to taste?
It looks good.
It looks so good, doesn't it? I think I'm gonna cut it off now.
Too hot to taste at the moment. It's boiling. It's boiling.
I just want a little taste. I think I'm just gonna cut one. We're not quite ready to eat dinner. And y'all, that is done down in there. Can you see that? Oh, that is amazing. Looky there. We got to have some of that gravy.
That looks good.
On those potatoes. We'll make us a big plate. I can't wait to try this. This comes out of the Family Reunion cookbook from your mother's side of the family.
Bill Kirkpatrick.
From 1975. And it's called Porcupines. Now, I cooked mine in this pan with the gravy. They did it with the tomato products I was telling you about, and they put it in the oven and baked it on 400 for 45 minutes. But I will put this original recipe in there, but I'll also tell you how I did mine. I changed it up just a little bit.
That's okay.
I don't think they'll mind.
Well, is it good?
You want to try it? Get your little bite off the corner there. It's cooled off some. Yeah. That is so good. I'm glad you got home early.
Me too. Or on time.
Well, he called me earlier. He would have been here, but he's been stuck in traffic. Is that not delicious?
It is.
They knew what they were doing when they made this.
It's good.
That is good. Now, that's going to go in our next cookbook, too, which I hope you'll think about getting.
That'd be good in some 6-inch bread. Maybe cut them in half and line them up, pour the gravy over it.
Oh, it would, wouldn't it? Instead of roast beef, you could do this on a sandwich.
That'd be good.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Great idea. We might think of that next. We won't eat all of this, so we may have to do that with leftovers.
There you go.
We'll get us some hoagie buns.
I'll take some for lunch.
There you go. But I hope y'all think about getting our first cookbook. We're so proud of it. And But I hope y'all think about getting it. And I hope you'll think about making this. So this is a wonderful, wonderful recipe. And I'm so glad and happy that I made it for you today. So y'all, please come back and join us again. I enjoy having you in my kitchen. And I hope you'll like, subscribe, share our channel, and hit that little notification bell so you'll know when I post another video. See you soon, everybody. Bye.